watching Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the nation's capital. We are joined today by Hank Johnson. He is a member of the U.S. Congress representing the great state of Georgia outside of Atlanta. My wife went to Emory, so it's good to meet you, sir. I want to speak with you about the tough year we've had. When we look at the interaction between communities and some police forces, it's been rough, and we've lost many young men. And there's a lot of anger and frustration and sadness. It's palpable. Give me a sense, what you hear, what you feel, what you see.
Well, I feel that people have started to lose confidence in the criminal justice system, while at the same time the relationship between police and community has eroded. And that's been due to a number of things. Number one, the videos that show us repeated instances of unarmed black males being shot to death by police officers around the country. And I shouldn't just say black males, because black females have also been victims.
What's so disappointing about what's been happening is I feel as if after 9/11, there was a real reservoir of goodwill for law enforcement, because we know how law enforcement really went to bat for Americans during that time, what happened in New York and Pennsylvania. I just feel as if it's been eroded and lost.
Well, it has been, and people across the spectrum of America, the demographic spectrum, they know that they need law enforcement to keep safety in the community. And so many of our young people grow up aspiring to be police officers. And so it's inbred in us that we would have respect for law enforcement, and we would support them as they keep our community safe.
That being said, yeah, please.
Because we have because it's now clearly apparent that there is a problem. It's not all police, it's just a few that make the entire industry, law enforcement industry or profession, look bad, a few. And then those few actors who may be aided and abetted by those who are afraid to cross the blue line or the blue wall of silence, who allow police misconduct to take place and they don't say anything about it, then it hurts the entire profession, and it acts to erode the harmony in the relationship between law enforcement and the communities that they protect and serve.
But with video, I mean, that blue line is blurred and it vanishes.
Well, that is what has caused the suddenness of realization that we do have a problem in this country and it needs to be addressed.
So you're looking to address this problem. I'll hearken to Ferguson. And look, what happened, we don't know. But what we do know is a young man lost his life, and we know that a grand jury opted against prosecution. Again, I don't know all the facts. I don't know, who knows all the facts. But there is a sense that maybe we should look at how charging decisions are made. And you are proposing what's known as the Grand Jury Reform Act to address that very issue. Talk to us about it, Congressman.
Yeah, in Ferguson, the Michael Brown case, we had the opportunity to see what goes on in a secret grand jury proceeding. And keep in mind that all grand jury proceedings are secret, so we never know what takes place inside that grand jury room.
And also, there's only one side presented.
That's correct.
So it's hard to know what you're really hearing or seeing or getting.
Well, the prosecutor gets to present whatever evidence he or she wants to submit, whether or not it's all or whether or not it's slanted in any way. And in the case of the Michael Brown grand jury, we saw where the evidence was just dumped on the grand jurors, just no discrimination in terms of what kind of evidence was let in. They just put in a whole bunch of evidence, and they instructed the jury on the law in a way that in other words, they cited the wrong law to the grand jurors.
What some have argued is they essentially dictated the result.
They did.
That's what some have argued.
It was clear.
And
it's clear that in any grand jury proceeding, particularly one that is secret, as they all are, the prosecutor has the ability to do just what that prosecutor did in the Michael Brown case, and we would never know what happened. But the end result is always an exoneration of the police officer involved, despite evidence to the contrary.
The flip side is some have argued in subsequent deaths of young black men, the charging decision has been too rapid. Some have talked about Baltimore, for example. That being said, and again, I'm not taking a position, you're looking to have the governor of the respective state get involved.
What happened in Baltimore was an aberration. You had a prosecutor that was not influenced by law enforcement, a prosecutor who seems to be proceeding in a way that is judicious and fair.
You know, I don't know about the prosecutor. What I do know about is the mother. Do you know which mother I'm talking about?
Which one?
The mother who went to her son who was in, I want her to be my mother.
Well, you know what?
She was so strong and said, you get out of there. She's become America's mother.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, she was a strong mother who came to take her son out of danger. That son was out there amongst friends, and they were all engaged in what some would call unlawful activity. Others would characterize it as blowing off steam out of a sense of hopelessness about their futures. And so to let out that rage, I was not surprised, though I would not condone and certainly don't sanction anyone going out throwing rocks. But the young man did what so many others do when they feel like there is no way forward in a unjust society. And so I appreciated that mother's reaction coming to grab her son out of that.
She's America's mother at this point.
Well, I tell you now, when you use corporal punishment against your children,
well, maybe not.
Especially when you're doing it on TV, you better be careful in today's society.
But let me, because we only have a few moments, your proposal would allow or would call for the governor of the respective state to appoint a special prosecutor.
That's correct.
That would then be involved in the grand jury process.
That's right.
To create what you believe would be more fairness.
Take it out of the hands of the local prosecutor and the local police department.
Maybe a blessing for them. I mean,
well, I think it's a good thing to do because it solves the problem of the diminution of people's respect for the criminal justice system. So we have that problem with the law enforcement officer-community relationship, but we also have the problem of people losing confidence in the justice system itself, and that's what the Grand Jury Reform Act would do, would be to help restore public confidence in that grand jury process.
His name is Hank Johnson. We could talk for another hour, but unfortunately we cannot. He is a member of the United States Congress representing the state of Georgia. My name is Brad Pomerance, and you are watching Charter Local Edition.